How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Happy Monday to everybody. This is going to be a fun one. I'm trying to fit so much into this lesson, so I'm gonna try to move fast and not get too stuck or anything like that. Um, as always, thank you for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. We're doing Prague Ghost tonight. Thank you to Bear for the suggestion, keeping me on my toes with this. This is, actually, for as crazy as this jam is, it actually is rooted in quite a bit of simplicity. Oh, right on. What's up, Rip? Rip, again, shout out to Playing with the Band tracks. Go over there. He's got tons of great tracks anyway, but he's going to have this one up on the channel soon, if not already. Rip, I appreciate you, man. I'm going to feature a couple examples where he was able to isolate Trey's track and put it to a metronome, which is really helpful, actually, so we can make sense of the timing and stuff. So can't thank you enough, Rip. Thank you guys all for hanging with me. So I think that the format I want to try here this week, I'm just kind of trying to figure everything out, is I want to give a quick overview. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on scales and charts and stuff like that. I'm going to get right to the video. I've got a video of the performance I'm going to put up in a minute. Rip's going to put the link to the track in the comments, so make sure you grab that. There's a worksheet I made. There's a description below for that. So yeah, I'm going to give a little rundown, play the video, and like as I go, I'm going to stop it and kind of talk about certain things as they happen. That being said, I would love to hear from you guys. I'm just sitting here in my basement by myself, or it feels like it. So if you guys would join in with me, whether it's just something you want me to explain a little more, pay attention to the timestamps or whatever, I'm here for you. Right on. Yeah, everything, everybody. Yeah, shout out to Rip, man. He's the best. Okay, so just for a little, like, kind of setting the scene a little bit here, this is going to be mostly A minor pentatonic, really like a blues scale. So if you want to throw in your blues note, the flat 5 into there, that'll help get the sound across. For the most part, there's a little Dorian in there. I'm going to give a little rundown on some things as we go. Again, I don't want to get bogged down on charts or anything. I want to give you examples of what he's doing and explain it as we go. But think A Dorian or A blues scale, and that's most of the vibe. That's like 99% of it. Okay, so actually, let me go close up real quick, and just in case, I don't want to assume anything here. I got tons of notes here, so I'm gonna try to hit all these as we go. But let me not put my book in front of the camera. Okay, so when I'm talking about the blues scale, let me get in the shot here. There we go. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. If you just take your A minor pentatonic. If you take that and just go like this, you go up to the 4th, put a note in between the 4th and the 5th, and then here we are again, minor 3rd, 4th, here's that blue note, up to the 5th. Oh, there we go. So that's most of the vibe. And, even though I'm not going to do this right now, one thing I would encourage you to do if you're not as familiar with the blues scale, just go through all your positions and try to find where that kind of bluesy note is. And it just gives you a little more attitude in your pentatonic. So right on. Think A minor, A pentatonic kind of thing, and then there's going to be some Dorian sprinkled in as we go. In a minute, I'm going to share some stuff to help you identify where that kind of Dorian note is inside of your pentatonic positions. There's a really easy trick we'll get into. But for now, why don't we, let's get it going here. I'm going to just play the video, and I've got it queued up like right when the jam starts. I'm not going to start this at the beginning. There's actually kind of like a little jam before they start the kind of the proper song. And we could do a different thing on that, but I really wanted to focus on the stuff kind of the jam after the tune. And so let's kick it off. I'm going to share the screen and the video. Let me know if you can't hear it or if it's too loud or whatever. I'm trying to dial it in and be an audio engineer and run this thing all at the same time. So here we go. So it's going to start around the 6-minute mark. And by the way, I'm getting this right off of Lazy Lightning his YouTube channel. He's got a ton of great stuff on there. Hopefully you guys know that guy's channel. Lazy Lightning is the man. I think it's Lazy Lightning maybe 55 or something. You guys comment if you know who I'm talking about. But that's where this video's from. I think he kind of remastered it, and it looks and sounds great. And here we go. I'm going to play it, and we'll kind of stop and go. Stop me if you want me to explain anything. This is interactive. Oh, wrong thing. Here we go. We'll get to that later. I'm going to transcribe one of the licks and show you guys how I do that for the videos and stuff. But we'll come back to that. I meant to play this. Right for a second. I'm going to come back to that. Whoop, wrong thing. Let me go close up again. Okay, so that sounds to me like he's starting with like a minor 9 kind of vibe, and I think he's down here now. I can't see it, so I'm guessing a little bit. I'm going to give you a couple different voicings that are my favorites for this kind of thing. So if you go down here to 7th fret of the D string and plug in just like a minor chord. Sorry, my guitar's all bright. Let me fix that. Okay, so the 9 would be right here. And the 9, just remember, when we're talking about intervals, 2 and 9 are the same thing. So think to yourself, okay, what's the second of A? Well, that's a B, and we're just putting a B into the voicing. Now, he could be just going like that, or he could be going like that, or another voicing that's kind of cool is going like that, where you harmonize the 9th with the 7th. They're kind of like almost like siblings or something. They work really well together, and I think he's kind of more like that, or just straight up like that. And then he hits a minor 7 and probably some 6. This is the major 6 in there. So really it's kind of cool because you can just think, like 7th fret, 7th fret, here's your root, here's the 9th. If you go on the B string in this case and go up a fret, that gives you the 7, a minor 7 I mean. And then if we go 1 down from there, 7th fret of the B string, that's a 6, and it gives you just that really kind of fun that kind of stuff. And you can just go forever with stuff like that, especially if you've got a keyboard player that's shredding it up and you just want to hold down and kind of comp for them. So I'm going to get back to the video, but just wanted to kind of quickly touch on a couple of those really beautiful voicings. And of course, a lot of these things are all over the fretboard, but there are some kind of choice spots where they typically happen in a jam like this. But let's keep it going for now. Back to the video. We'll go back to the guitar and let me pull up this tablature. Okay, so right here, and I circled some things. I wanted to really draw your eyes to this pattern building that he's really getting into here. In this motif that he starts to build really early on is going to come back tons of times in different iterations. And so let me do this. I'm going to play the isolated track of Trey's guitar and then talk you through it a little bit. So here it is. This is just Trey with a metronome. Whoop, let's try that again. Okay, here's Trey with a metronome. And I should have mentioned as well, when I do these isolated clips, a lot of times I like to slow them down so you can really hear what's going on. This is at, I think I put this at 50%. Let's listen one more time, and I'm going to play you through it and talk you through it. And I actually also want to explain a little bit of the rhythm stuff. And when you look up at the standard notation, sometimes that stuff can look intimidating, but I want to help kind of demystify that. And the next lick I'm going to share with you guys, I'm going to actually transcribe that right now. I did it earlier as well, but I'm going to do a new one on the fly and show you guys how you can do it in real time. So here's the isolated track again. Okay, so good. All right, so right over here, this is how I kind of envision this, and it's interesting because depending on where stuff happens, I'll tend to picture it either as a scale or a chord. In this case, I'm more likely in this area, I guess, to see like the relative major. I kind of have a bias towards the major. I always view minor as a derivative of major. That's just me, but I kind of envision this position here, but it's equally true that you could say, well, hey, wait a minute, that's just fourth position of the minor pentatonic, which is, you can look at it either way. And he's really hitting, he's hitting a lot of those notes anyway. So either way, but here's what's happening. We start on 12th fret of the A string, and it goes 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and 3E and 4E and a 1E and a 2 and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 3 and 4. I think I kind of messed up that last part. Let me go that last measure again. 1E and a 2 and 3. What is that? Let me do that again. There we go. There it is. So I'm going to do the whole phrase again and come back to a couple details to look at. So again here, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and 4E and 1E and a 2E and 3 and 4E and a 1E and a 2E and 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so some interesting things to me that pop out is, okay, so we've got this note that he's kind of, this is just from kind of the previous lick that was being played, and I just included that note so we could anchor ourselves on a strong downbeat here. But notice where he comes in the next measure is on the and of 2. So that 12th fret in the second measure is what I'm talking about. That's the and of 2. So he goes 1E and, or sorry, it's the and of 1, not the and of 2. So it's 1E and a 2E and 3. And to me, right there, that's, I mean, even though that's kind of a simple little thing, it adds a lot, and I'm going to have more to add with the rhythm stuff. There's going to be a lot of displacement and kind of dizzying effects that Trey creates with his rhythm. But instead of starting on one, I guess this is maybe my main point with this part, is if you're trying to mix things up and make your playing more interesting, you're improvising more creative and free and open, maybe challenge yourself to do a jam, maybe with this very track, where you put it on and you force yourself not to play something on the downbeat. And what I mean is not on beat one. And maybe play on the and of one, maybe play on beat two, maybe play on the E of one, or, just kind of pushing things forward and creating a different rhythmic situation can be really fun. Now, if you look over to the next measure that has all the circles around it, the reason I circled that stuff is because this is, like I said, where he starts to build on this this theme. In this case, he's going. It's got this deca deca da and a deca 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 da. Now, on one hand, those are just pretty much straight up 16th notes, but there's an interesting thing that happens when you pair the pitch and the timing of things. So, what's up, Brian? Thanks for joining, man. Yeah, the syncopation is where it's at. He's saying thanks for breaking down the syncopation, and that's the secret sauce. But here's the kind of cool thing is you can create the feeling of syncopation sometimes with the way you structure your phrase. In this case, he's doubling this this note here, C, on the 13th fret of B, 1 E and a, 2 E and a. Now, if you see that dotted 8th note in the third measure, that's creating this little bit of space, and space is so important when we jam. I'm trying to work on that myself, is to not play so much and leave a little space sometimes. But listen to it's just such a powerful little space in between. So 1 E and a, 2 E and, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And if we didn't have that space, and if we only were playing one note, it would be much less interesting, obviously, without playing more than one note. But it gives the effect like there's something more going on just by the way he's structuring that. So just really great little examples. And like I said, he's going to take this kind of theme and he builds on it for the rest of the jam. Moving on for the rest of it, if you look at the measure on the bottom line, he's throwing in a 9th, which is kind of cool. That's a B. I was talking about that with the chord earlier. But you can also, all this stuff, if you learn a really cool, what's up, Fishy Fish? Good to see you. Here's one thing I would say is that if you have a chord you really like in this case, I love a minor 9 like that. Try to bridge the gap between thinking chordally, so thinking of it as maybe a rhythm thing that you might use, and then thinking of it as a lead thing, like something you build a melody with. So, for example, instead of just strumming that, maybe you go. So there, I'm just kind of playing around with minor pentatonic and just throwing in the 9. Somebody that comes to mind that does that beautifully, maybe my favorite example of this is David Gilmour. He'll do like just kind of straight up pentatonic, but plus the 9. There it is. And just that one extra little note can really mix things up a little bit. Another fun thing to do is, if you do your blues scale, and let's say you do this kind of slidey, anything that's like that, or I love harmonizing that blue note with the 9. So that's just kind of fun, a fun little side note you can throw in. I did see somebody earlier commented about the Stevie Ray Vaughan style lick that Trey does. Let me go back. That was way up. Meow. Meow said that. And listen, I'm so happy you commented that, because that's one of the things I'm going to feature in the next riff. So hope you stick around for that, because there's something that Trey does to kind of mix it up and make it unique. But that kind of sound is a big part of this jam. Okay, so let me play that one more time, and then we're going to move on. In fact, you know what I'll do? Let me get rid of this, and I'm going to play the video one more time so you can hear it at full tempo. close up. So he's kind of doing this. I got that kind of thing. But the thing that I think is most important for us to take away from that is listen to that rhythm he's doing again, da 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 da. He's really building this kind of rhythmic building block and just kind of tweaking things. In this case, he's doing it with this ascending kind of chromatic thing to start it, and then it sounds like he does kind of like a Dorian run at the end, something like that. And more on this again. This is this Dorian note, and I'll come back to that later. Dorian's basically, think of a minor scale with a major 6 in it, and but when you combine this kind of sound we already have, this feels like the going the other way. What was that? It was like something like that. But it kind of takes that motif, kind of tweaks it a little bit, and ascends with it. So cool. Let's keep moving. I don't want to get too bogged down in every single lick, but here we go. It sounds like it's like he's taking that dega dega da dega 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 da, that kind of rhythm, and just he's moving it down. So instead of it being a thing where it was just in one place, maybe now he's using it in more of a linear pattern to slide positions. And another thing, I'm going to rewind that clip I just played. Watch how he smoothly is transitioning pentatonic positions. And there's an exercise I did. If you follow the link in the description for the free worksheets and stuff and go to that page, you'll see one that's called Pentatonic Hinge Exercise. And in that, I just map out all these different places you can switch strings, or sorry, switch positions on different strings in your pentatonic positions. And that's kind of what he's doing here. So I'm going to go back a few seconds. Just watch how smoothly he transitions from one zone to the next. And there's some more of that Dorian stuff where it sounded like, and of course he has like the octave pedal on and whatever else he's using there. But here, I wanted to give a little trick for throwing in some Dorian stuff that's really simple, that won't require you to memorize like a whole new, a book of charts or, some kind of crazy thing. If you think about your pentatonic positions, and let's say, it's kind of cool we're talking about A minor, because I bet a lot of us learned A minor first in terms of pentatonic positions. And so here's what I would say is whatever position you're in, so if you're in first position, play an A power chord. So again, something really simple that a lot of us will be very familiar with on the guitar. And here's the trick. Whenever you play a power chord, and those are so easy to find on the guitar, a whole step up from the fifth. And when you play a power chord, you're playing a root and a fifth. And one whole step up or 2 frets to the right of that fifth is always the Dorian note, if you're playing minor pentatonic, I mean. And so you can either, you know, do stuff like. So I'm just kind of going up to this kind of typical pentatonic position, sliding up, and then sliding back into the position I was, and then throwing the note in here. And there's an octave trick as well. So if you know where one note is on the A string, if you go down to the B string and back to the left 2 frets, that will always be the same thing. So hopefully I explained that in a clearer way. Whenever you have a note on the A string you want to find an octave for, one way to do it is to go down to the B string, whatever fret that note is, go 2 to the left, and you've got yourself an octave. You can also do it here, like that. So you can go down 2 strings and up 2 frets to the right on G string. Or just think of it as a string apart. Typically that'll do the trick. So there and there. And you also have that Dorian note down here as well. So it's just a kind of a game of just mapping out where that tone is. But like I said, think of a power chord and then go a whole step up or 2 frets to the right. And then try to find other spots. Like here's another A power chord. And then here's another Dorian note. Here's another one right here. If I go up here, okay, I've got my A power chord. I just go up a whole step. There's another Dorian note. Here's another one. You've got a power chord. And you've got one like this too. Now, that's not a typical way to play a power chord, but it's the same kind of thing. And you can play a 6 there. If you go all the way up here, whoop, too high, you've got an A power chord, and you can go up here for that Dorian note or here. So you get the idea. Think power chord and then go up a whole step. You get your Dorian note. And of course, we have to have the legwork of the pentatonic kind of mapped out. But anyway, let's keep going with the video, and then I'm going to have some stuff to share based on some stuff that's coming up. So now he's getting into this another theme building kind of thing, where in this case he's going from, and we're in this I was describing it as, like, I see it like a C shape, but you can think of it like your that's your 4th position of the A minor pentatonic. And what he's doing is going from this 5th right here to the 7, the flat 7 I mean, up to the root, and then he does this, like, this kind of, or actually it had more of a Dorian thing. Maybe it was like, and then he locks right back into it. And so, like, try thinking of a simple thing like that, like Trey's doing. It's so simple. and he's not too married to it. He's just kind of like he's breaking it apart, putting it back together, but it just keeps things moving. It keeps it really interesting, and for us in the audience, it's exciting because when we hear something like that that has a repetitive nature to it, it helps just to build up the energy. And you can hear the other guys are kind of building. Everything's really building up, and he's kind of getting into what I think is, pretty close to the peak of this jam, or we're getting there at least. So let's keep going. And I'm going to play that part isolated, and then I'm going to transcribe it and show you guys how to do it. So here it is. I believe this one's also 50% tempo. This is going to be Trey's guitar isolated with a metronome. Okay, so that's the clip that I'm going to share with you guys now. And let me do this. I got to switch around a little bit. Give me a sec. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that. This is called Notion. This is by PreSonus, and the reason I use this software is because I record in Studio One. In fact, I'll give you a little, I'll share that as well. Let me see here, Studio One. This is the software that I record all the lessons I've ever done on, and also kind of fun to see some of the stuff I use for dialing in the tone I get. I really like this API 550A EQ. That's how I set it. Lots of mid-range, and if you ever want to know what EQ I'm using inside of the DAW, that's what it is. I also run the signal through a 1176 style compressor, but then afterward I also hit it with this CL2A, and you can see it's not compressing a ton, so that's in there, little reverb, and then the room EQ is like that. So for any recording guys out there, and also in the bus track, that's the master track, I use a solid state Logic stereo bus compressor, This is kind of fun and nerdy. And a classic L2 limiter to kind of bump the signal up. So anyway, that's kind of a fun little side note. That's what's going on in the DAW. Now let me go back and share this Notion. Anyway, like I was saying, the reason that that I like to, gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. The reason I like to use Notion is because it integrates perfectly with Studio One. And so it's really easy to kind of go back and forth. But here we go. I'm going to do this on the fly. So here is kind of the main menu. I'm going to hit electric guitar, exit the setup. I'm going to kind of move fast here, but let me know if you want anything explained more slowly. I'm going to bump that up so you guys can really see it. And I'm going to go over here. So, okay, first, actually, you know what? Let me go back one thing. First thing you want to do a lot of times is you want to figure out what's the key you're working with. And, you know, the key for this, because I was describing it as kind of like an A Dorian vibe, I'm going to put this in the key of G major. And the reason I'm doing that is because A is the second of G, and the second degree is Dorian. And so that's how you can kind of reverse engineer it. So over here, I'm going to enter in the key of G. And what that does is it just raises all the Fs to F sharp, which is our Dorian note. Okay, so then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here. I'm going to play that clip, and I'm going to count as I play it. Now I have this lick memorized because I did this for a video a while back, and it just kind of lives in the back of my mind. So I do have it memorized, but I want you guys to hear it again, and I'm going to count it as I go. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. And that's where I'm going to pause it there. That's where I'm going to end it. So now I'm going to play and count as I do it, and then I'm going to enter in the notes and explain how that all goes. So let me see here. Back to here. Okay, so 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and... Okay, that's our first thing we got to get. For that, oh shoot, you know what? I'm going to juggle around a little bit. Let me actually show you on the guitar how that goes, and then I'll transcribe it. So it goes 1 and a 2. So we're in first position of the minor pentatonic. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. So that's how the lick goes. Let me play it without counting. So that's the clip we're going to do. So now back to the notation, and here we go. So the first one is a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and a. So we're going to have a quarter note first. In this software, what you do is you come over here. This is a godsend that there's a fretboard. I'd be kind of in trouble doing this if I didn't have this. I'm kind of cheating, but I can just enter it in. So if you've ever downloaded a PDF of a Fish song I've done, this is how I do it. Every note is entered in on this little fretboard. I go 1 and why is that way down there? Let me see here. That is not right. Let's see. Well, it's putting it way down there. That's okay. I'm gonna roll with it. So 1 and a 2, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and so. The next one is a dotted quarter note because it's held onto the and of 3. So 1 and is a quarter note, 2 and a 3 and. So that means this note here, which is also an A, is held for a quarter note and a half, so a dotted quarter note. Then it goes and 4 and there's a bend there. So now I'm going to go over to an eighth note. Hopefully you can see this little menu here, and I'm going to go like this. Right here, and 4 and. Now there's no bend yet, but I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Then it's held for an entire measure. So what you do is you go over to the whole note icon here, and I'm just going to play that note again. Oop, not that. And here's another little thing. I'm glad I kind of just messed that up. If you mess up in this software it's kind of a pain in the butt. You have to exit and restart it because it'll put the rhythm in the wrong spot. So let's see here. I meant to go 7th fret of the D string. So now there's also going to be an 8th note attached to that one. So now what you have to do is you have to tie those together. So this right here is the tie button. It literally says tie. So I tie this to this because that's the length that we have to hold that note for. And there's also a bend. So what I'm going to do is come down to here, and if you see this symbol, this is a bend up and a bend down. So I'm actually going to click on that, but it's not quite enough because he also bends back up. So then, let's see here. I'm going to move this bend and this one, and I just kind of do it trial and error and try to get it to sound as much like him as I can. Now it's a full bend, so that's one thing. I got to bend it back up. So let's see how we are so far. Okay, so that's got to go down sooner. Okay, pretty good. Pretty good for a fake MIDI guitar. Let me know if you guys can hear that. I don't know if you guys can hear the guitar playing back like the MIDI guitar, but hopefully it comes out in the stream. Okay, now the next part is the Stevie Ray Vaughan lick that the commenter was talking about, and I love this part. So it's going to go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and a. So that's this measure. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and a. So the first bend that we do after this note that I left off is going to be an 8th note. It's actually the same note again. We're going to bend from that 7th fret of G. So I'm going to enter that note in. Then it goes to 16th notes. So 1 E and a. It's going to go here, here. 1 E and a 2 E and a goes there. Let's see. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a. Okay, so now we're going to go back to here, then back. Now, 4 E, this is going to be an 8th note here, and then, and, okay, I think I got it. I'm going to test this in a second. So let's see. Oh, thanks, Brian. Glad you're enjoying the breakdown here. Yes, it's very tedious, guys. Doing those transcriptions takes a long time. And I've been talking to different people lately about like if there's an AI way to do it or whatever, but I'm just kind of old school. That being said, if there were some other way to do it, man, I don't know. If you guys out there do this and have a faster way, please save me from the tedium here. Okay, so let's go back here. So this note I just highlighted, that needs to be a bend. So I'm going to go over here. It's a full bend. Okay, now let me see here. There should be a pull off as well. That's a pull off. That's a pull off. And now I'm just going to kind of test it and go back. Okay, cool. Sounds pretty good so far. Right on. Dead Flowers Blues. Thanks for hanging with me, man. Thank you guys all so much. This is really fun. Let's see if I can tie this thing together here. Okay, so after that, let's see. 1 E and 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and a 1 E, 1 E, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E. Okay, then we start the next measure with an 8th note, and it's the same lick. So this is, I'm going to come back to this in a second. This displacement he does with the rhythm, but 1 E and a 2 E and a. Okay, so those are all 16ths. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. Okay, so that's a dotted quarter note. That's going to be here. And then there's a triplet after that. So this is 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E triplet. There's a 16th note triplet. Where he goes, triplet. And then we end it with a 16th here. Okay, that was a mistake. So those of you watching, you may have seen that I did not disengage the triplet, which is so annoying when you're transcribing. I'm going to hit Command Z, undo that, and then I have to now unclick the triplet button. I can't tell me if I had a penny for every time I did that, I'd be doing all right. So let me see here. We're going to finish this measure out. Now, even though he moves on from there with like another run, I'm just kind of capping that lick like that, so it all ends with a nice clean kind of bow on it. Then I would go back and I would look for anything, like I missed a pull off here. This is a hammer on right here. This is a pull off. And then this is, I'm so anal about this. A lot of times then I go and I center it because they don't center it in the software. So you're getting a little insight into my psyche here. But it's very irksome to me if it's not centered. So I really care about you guys, care about getting your tabs right. So here we go. Let's listen and see how we did. Okay, I missed a bend. I heard that. That should be a bend right there. And that should be good. Cool. Okay, close enough for rock and roll. So that's that. Now that I did that, I'm going to exit out of this, and I'm not going to save it because I already kind of did that earlier. So now let me share that with you. Okay, so here is the tab. It's the same thing I just did, but I circled this kind of Stevie Ray Vaughan type lick right here. And you can see, like, a lot of times with Trey, he's getting a theme going, and then he comes back to it. But even though I know there's going to be a lag with me asking this question, for those of you still watching, there's about 14, 15 of you guys. If you look at this, these two phrases, okay, the circled phrases here, you'll notice that there's a bend that starts it. The frets are the same, but there's something different about it. There's something fundamentally different about one of these phrases versus the other one. I'm going to leave it to you guys to comment and tell me what is different. Or if you have no idea and you're like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about, let me know. That's important too, because I want to clarify it. But anybody out there, tell me what is different between these two licks. Okay, now I'm gonna move on from that. But if you want to answer, go right ahead. If you want to pause the video, do that. But I'm gonna move along to the next lick, because now we're gonna get into that really repetitive part where he puts on the whammy pedal and a bunch of effects and really gets shredding. So here we go. Okay, believe it or not, that thing that he just did is really, really simple, but not easy. So that's how a lot of these things are. A lot of times they are simple, but there are a couple of variables that can make a part like that kind of difficult. Again, I have this part isolated, and I've got the first three measures of it tabbed out. Okay. So Brian just answered about the question I was asking. Actually, yeah, before I move on, let me let me go back to this one. I was asking, okay, what is different from the first one to the second one? Brian, you nailed it, man. It's the timing. And actually, perfect timing, talking about the timing, Brian, because that's going to have a huge, it's going to play a huge role in the lick I'm about to share. So if you look over here, In this example, Trey starts this kind of Stevie Ray Vaughan style lick on the and of one, and it's like, I don't want to like overcomplicate it, but if you just look up at the notation at the top, notice that he starts on the second of those eighth notes. He doesn't start at the beginning of the measure. It's offset. It's a little displaced. Whereas in the next one, he starts on the downbeat. And believe it or not, just a simple little tweak like that is what really can create a lot of excitement and a lot of variation in your playing, in your phrasing. You know, if you take a part like this, and in fact, I meant to do this before, so I'm glad the timing's working out here. So if you take that lick and if you were to play it on the downbeat, on beat one, it'd be 1E and a 2E and. Let's say we just go to there. 1E and a 2E and. Now listen to how different, or I think it feels different to me, how different it is if you don't start on one. So again, here's 1E and a 2E and. Instead I'm going to go 1E and a 2E and a 3. So it just offsets it, and especially if you do it in a repetitive nature. So if you're like, in fact, a really popular variation of this kind of thing is in like in Hotel California, in the guitar solo there. I think it's Joe Walsh that's doing it. He does this thing, but although it could be Don Felder, who's awesome too. So it's this thing where they vary between that, which is going up to the flat 7, and then going up to the root. It's just such a great little lick. But again, if you start on 1E and a, or 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and, or start offset 1E and a 2. Wait, let me do that again. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a. It just really throws everything forward. So anyway, Brian, great job. It is definitely the timing that I was looking for that's different. So the power of where you place it in the measure is immense. It can have a huge impact. So let's come back to this kind of shredding thing over here that we're going to get into. So like I said, this thing is really simple, but not easy. And there are a couple things I want to draw your attention to. So the first of which is that what Trey is really doing here is he's creating a motif that rhythmically, if you look up at the standard notation up at the top, it's just straight 16th notes. There's actually not that much going on rhythmically at all. It's just steady, uniform, 16th notes. So it's kind of like, well, what, where is the interesting rhythm coming from? Well, there's this amazing kind of balance between the pitch and time, the pitch and the timing of what you do. So he's playing this kind of minor pentatonic thing that's in the second position of A minor pentatonic. So imagine you're up here, like here's first position, here's second position. And I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times I like to shift up, like with the middle finger, let's say to 9th fret, and that's exactly where he's at here. So he's doing 3-note groupings with straight 16ths. So it's like 1E and. So there's your 3-note grouping, and he just keeps doing it. But because we're playing in 4/4, and because there's an odd number in the grouping, it creates this offsetting, displaced feeling where it's just really dizzying, and especially when he puts on that whammy pedal and kind of gets going, it's very disorienting and awesome. It's kind of chaotic and builds up to a big climax. So there's 3 notes per phrase, so to speak. But the other thing I want to draw your attention to is I'm going to turn my guitar. Let me see if I can get it so you guys can really tell. Okay, so I want to get the picking in here. So the other thing here is look at my pick angle. It's a really downward pick slant that I'm doing here. And I'm going to go like this: down, down, up, 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 down, down, up. But you see how I'm saying 2 downs, but it's really 1 motion, and I'm hitting 2 strings with 1 motion. And if you watch Trey in the footage, you'll see how relaxed his right hand is. In fact, that's a good idea. Let's watch Trey one more time with his part. And I would encourage you guys to watch his right hand. Really, even though the left hand, it's exciting because he's shredding, watch how relaxed and just like he looks like he's just kind of, Yeah, it's let me switch it here. If you hear a thing like that, like that kind of phrasing, the thing that happens in David Bowie where he's shredding toward the end, Divided Sky, Rift, all these tunes where he gets Maze, he gets into these shredding kind of scenarios. Whenever you hear that, that's usually somebody figuring out how to do something in a more high leveraged way. So with one motion, we're hitting two strings, and that's where the speed or the feeling of speed comes from. But there's another thing. I want to pull this tab up again, and there's yet another really cool thing about this. And whatever amount of notes are in your phrase, and I'm using that loosely because I'm just calling it a phrase because it's three different notes, and that's an easy way to group it. But if you have, excuse me, if you're playing in 4/4 and you have three notes in a phrase, it's going to take that many measures if you're playing it in 16th notes to resolve back to where you started. So I'm going to play this in three measures, and I'm going to count it as I go. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1. So it took to the three complete measures until I came back to where I started. The original beginning of that phrase was on the 9th fret of G. Notice that the first measure starts with the 9th fret of G, but then the next measure starts with the 8th fret of B, and then the next measure yet starts with the 10th fret. So it's cycling through the three notes. If I had a 5-note phrase, it would take 5 measures to complete the cycle till you came back to where you started. If you had 7 notes, it would take 7. So if you're in 4/4 playing an odd numbered phrase, it takes that many measures to come back to where you started. So just a fun little side note on how the math works out. One thing that I think is deceptively tricky with this, even though it is kind of simple, it may be tempting to kind of get into almost triplet territory where it's like triplet, 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 but it's still just straight 16th stuff. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a... The other thing that's tricky about if you try to play along to this is that even when I had the metronome on, I'm going to play it again, this audio example. Or actually, I don't even know if I played this isolated. Here's the track isolated. And you'll notice that Trey is not married to the metronome. He's kind of flowing in and out. And I'm not going to speak to whether that's on purpose or not. To me, it doesn't even matter. It's creating tension and release. That's what I care about. And he comes back and locks back in. So whether or not he means to stray from perfect time, so to speak, the imperfection is what's so good about it to me. So here it is. So see how he goes in and out and he locks back in. Now they're playing live. I mean, it shouldn't be to a click track anyway. Well, to each their own. Some people may do that. But it's flowing, and when it really counts, he locks back in and kind of goes from there, and it's awesome. So perfection isn't really what it's all about. It's about tension and release and expression, and there's tons of that in every second of this jam. Gosh, there's so much. I even kind of like forgot to look at my notes, but hopefully I hit everything I meant to. That's not the end of the jam, but I'm gonna have to cap it there. If you guys want, there's another couple minutes where he does a lot of similar stuff. He does that blues lick another octave higher, but I don't want to overdo it here. You guys have been hanging with me for a while. There's still a bunch of you hanging out, so I appreciate you guys. But I want to leave it open for a second. If there's any questions about anything I got into so far, comments or whatever, or just tell me where you guys are hanging. Where are you guys from? Where is everybody? What are you guys working on with your music? So yeah, drop a comment, leave a question if you have one. man, I really appreciate you guys. I'm kind of going through and making sure I didn't miss anything. Brian made a comment about when I was doing that repetitive part I was just sharing. It's a great example of economy picking. Economy picking is just where you're more economical with your movement. It really is what it's about. So if you were to alternate pick that, in fact, let me make this point real quick because I think it is really important. If I were to alternate pick that thing I was just doing, what that means is like right out of the gate, because I'm playing only one note on this string, in order to alternate pick, which just means I'm following my down with an up, I actually have to, let me turn like this. I have to jump over the string in order to do the next down. And then I would be doing inside picking here. So that's actually a good exercise. But you can see how much more movement in my wrist has to happen if I turn like this. It's really tough. And the fact that it's so tough for me probably means I need to practice it more. But that being said, if I play economy, do you see how relaxed my right hand is? Because I'm just thinking down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Like it's just two motions. So that's the main difference between economy picking and alternate picking. And I'm a huge fan of alternate picking, so I don't mean to give the impression that I don't like economy or alternate picking. It's just that sometimes one tool is good for the job and sometimes the other one is. So, sometimes you need a screwdriver, sometimes you need a hammer, sometimes you need one tool that does one certain thing. That doesn't mean because you use one thing at one time you throw away the other tool. That's my philosophy with it. And I kind of look at music theory stuff that way too. Just because one thing might make sense for one scenario or another, maybe it doesn't, like just staying open and using whatever you can to get stuff done. So right on, right on. Okay, guys. Well, I'll hang for another minute. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And shoot, I don't even know if I said this yet, but thanks, Bear. Bear suggested that we look at this one. I think it was Bear that suggested this. I really appreciate that. That's the other thing. If you're watching this, if you watch it live or if you watch it, it's going to stay up on the channel. If there's a jam you want to see a breakdown on, leave a comment. I'm also open to breaking down a studio jam. Like for example, I've never done anything on like the studio jam on David Bowie. So it doesn't there's no like hard and fast rules here. But leave comments if there's something you want covered, if you'd like to see a lesson on it. And I'd be happy to do it. Right on. Going to fish this weekend. Okay. Right on. Analysis to the jams, cool. What else? Yeah, okay, what's next on the list? Let me I'm gonna look real quick while I'm kind of wrapping up here. I think next week, what am I doing next week? I know I have a there's a You Enjoy Myself on the docket. There's a Possum. Maybe it's Possum that's next. I'm going to do, I think a Harry Hood is also on the docket. So we've got some good stuff lined up, but please leave your requests. This is viewer driven. And anyway, I guess we're good, man. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me on this Monday night. It's a joy to share this music with people that really love it. I know you guys, Fish fans are very passionate, on their own, but guitar playing Fish fans are like a whole other category of passion and dedication. So I appreciate you guys so much. Be on the lookout. I'm going to have another lesson coming out this week, probably on Wednesday. I'm trying to get them out on Wednesdays or Thursdays. Also, my good buddy Maurice, who's a huge fan, he and I are going to try out more of a discussion style video format where we're talking about the first episode. We're talking about the intro to Candyman by Grateful Dead. There's some really cool stuff Jerry's doing in there that ties into some chord shapes and some chromatic movement and stuff. So we're working on that video. It's kind of a different thing I've never done on the channel. I've never had anybody else over here on the channel, so it'll be cool to have that video coming out. I don't know when that'll be out, but it'll be soon, and we plan to do that as a weekly thing where we talk about kind of like this vibe where we're just talking about jams and talking about stuff that's going on, whether it's scale wise or chord wise or whatever. But yeah, appreciate you guys as always. I'm gonna sign off in a minute. Be on the lookout. We're gonna switch stuff up with our offer on the course next week. I believe it'll be. We're gonna offer a monthly subscription, so we're gonna do that. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, definitely check it out. We're gonna have a couple different levels we'll get into. So if you want to, dive more into your playing and you want to have a Q&A at your disposal to get live feedback and stuff, definitely check that out. I'll share that next week. We're kind of revamping that, and yeah, look forward to more of these. Stay tuned for next week. We're gonna have a good time. Thanks again to Rip for the track. Thank you guys for the awesome support and comments and hanging with me. And I'll see you guys next time. I'll see you next week on Monday. All right.